Cincinnati is about to look completely different in 2026. We're talking about billions of dollars invested into the city, new bridges, massive entertainment districts, luxury hotels, and developments that are going to change property values across the city. These developments are going to shape Cincinnati's future, and today we're going to break it down and discuss how these developments are going to change property values, neighborhoods, communities, and what you can do to be better prepared before these developments break ground. My name is Evan Richardson, and whether you're thinking about buying, selling, investing, or you just want to know what's going on in your city, this video is for you. I've got 8 massive projects to cover, so let's jump right into the first one, which just so happens to be the largest infrastructure deal in Ohio history, the Brent Spence Bridge project. Try saying that one 5 times fast. It took me a few times. This is a $3.6 billion infrastructure project, and it is the largest in Ohio's history. There's been a ton of delays, but construction is finally slated to start early 2026. It's finally fully funded. So let's talk about it. A brand new bridge right beside the current Brent Spence Bridge is being built, and there's also going to be improvements to roads on both the Kentucky and the Ohio side. Now, this is a bridge that sees over 160,000 cars per day drive on it, so there's definitely going to be a lot of delays and traffic while this project is going on. Now, the good news is, once this project is done, you're going to have such an easier commute to and from Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati, and that is great news. As we know, there are a lot of people who live in Northern Kentucky and work in Cincinnati, and some vice versa. And if you've driven on I-71 or I-75 during peak times, you know traffic is brutal. So this is great news. And once this is completed, property values in the area should actually rise. I would expect a lot more so in the Northern Kentucky side, because you have homes close to the river on Newport and Covington. People aren't going to be as scared about buying homes over there and working in Cincinnati or vice versa, because hopefully there will not be as much congestion when it comes to peak travel times. All right, next up, if you're in Cincinnati, you've definitely heard and seen of this one, and that is the Duke Energy Convention Center project. And if you've driven by recently, you've seen the old Duke Energy Cincinnati sign was taken down, but they've got the new one up. I'm not sure if the lights and everything are on it yet. I haven't driven by there in the past couple days, but it's close to being up. Not the same as the old one, but close. Now, along with the renovation of the Duke Energy Convention Center, there's also a hotel, the Marriott Hotel, and it's going to be 700 rooms. And the awesome part about that hotel is there will be a skywalk connected to the convention center, so you'll be able to walk right over to the convention center and to the hotel without ever having to step outside. And this is an $800 million project, so this is a huge project for the city. And if you're wondering, okay, but why should I really care about a new convention center and a new hotel downtown? Well, this is going to bring in hundreds of thousands of visitors into Cincinnati for these conventions and anything else that might be held at the convention center or the hotel. And this is great news for the city, as that brings in tons of business for our local businesses, and property values near downtown are certainly going to rise. So if you have a condo or an apartment downtown that you rent out, maybe do short-term rental, that is great news for you. But just in general for the city, this is great news for our local businesses downtown, as we are going to be able to hold a lot more bigger events now that our convention center is up to date and not in the early 2000s. All right, number 3, this one I'm probably the most excited about, but it might be a tie for number 8, so let me know what you think once you get to number 8. But this one is the West End development out front of the FC Cincinnati stadium, which is called TQL Stadium. And I'm really excited about this one. One, it's just a huge project, and they're finally set to break ground in spring of next year in 2026. But the awesome thing about this project is it's expected to bring at least 2,000 jobs to the city, which is awesome. Anytime we can bring jobs into our community here, that's always a positive thing. Now, this has been a planned project for a while now, and what has been planned to be built has changed a little bit, but the latest is a $326 million project. It's going to include 2 13-story towers with both apartments and office space, a boutique hotel. It's going to have street level restaurants and retail. Property values around the West End near TQL Stadium have already been on the rise, but I expect them to absolutely surge in the upcoming years as this development breaks ground and gets closer to completion. So for buyers right now, if you're looking to be close to downtown, the West End is still the most affordable option to be downtown, but you're gonna have to act quick because property values there are going to rise a lot. All right, next up is the Western Hills Viaduct replacement. So phase one construction is going to start in early 2026, and they currently have a slated $180 million budget, but they do plan to apply for federal grants as they continue to go on. And the viaduct connects the western suburbs to downtown Cincinnati, so it's a pretty vital area, and the current structure is literally crumbling. This new viaduct is going to have wider lanes, bike paths, pedestrian walkways, and it's going to cut commute times from neighborhoods like Western Hills and Cheviot and Green Township by a projected 10 to 15 minutes, which is awesome. So the real estate impact from this is those towns that I mentioned on the western side, like those Green Townships and Cheviots, could see an increase in the value of homes as it'll be easier access to get over there. I already know there's some awesome new construction communities happening in Green Township, and I've done videos on those in the past, but I expect home values to increase as this project is underway and near completion as we make easier access to get to that side of town. All right, next up is the Carew Tower development. If you're in Cincinnati, once again, you've definitely heard of Carew Tower. It's actually the second tallest building right behind the Great American Building, but it's actually at a higher elevation, which is pretty cool. I know when I first moved here to Cincinnati, one of the first things I did is I went to the observation deck so I could look out and see that view from the top of the tower. So it's a little sad that that is no longer going to be around, but I do think what they're doing here is awesome. The tower's kind of been very underutilized and just sitting in the city, and so I know they've been working on the outside, and they have there's not a ton of information out there right now, but I believe they're about to start working on the inside, and they are going to turn the tower into 375 residential apartments, which, again, I think it's awesome. We're seeing these developments downtown. Let me know how you feel about that. I know some people have some strong opinions, but personally, I think it's awesome for the small businesses down there to maybe drive more foot traffic to those businesses, as Cincinnati is not really known to be the kind of city where you walk around like maybe like a New York, for example. I'm not saying Cincinnati is going to become a New York, but it would be cool to have more life in the downtown area, I guess, outside of just like the banks. Let's rapid fire a couple here, and then we'll get to number 8, which is my personal favorite, and I'm excited to hear what you think about number 8, because I think there could be some maybe conflicting opinions on that. At number 6, we have the UC Crossley Tower demolition. I think they've kind of already started on that, but they are going to make room for more development on campus and probably student housing, as there's been a bit of a student housing crisis for the past few years now, and so I think that's very, very needed. I know they have recently opened the Calhoun Hall, which helped, but at the rate UC is growing, they definitely need more student housing, and that'll be great for all the businesses in the Clifton and Corryville area. In number 7, we have the Renaissance Pointe development in Middletown. This is a little bit outside of Cincinnati, but I still think it's awesome to see some of the surrounding areas of Cincinnati develop and grow. This is a $100 million development that is going to break ground in spring, where they're going to have a 200,000 square foot arena, a hotel, hundreds of apartments, and so I think it's going to be awesome for the growth of the city and the surrounding areas of Cincinnati. All right, and finally, number 8. This one is my favorite. Let me know what you think. If you're from Cincinnati, then you've definitely heard of the Cincinnati Mall, or it's sometimes been referred to as the Forest Fairs Mall or Forest Fairs Village, all kinds of stuff, but I call it the Cincinnati Mall. Granted, I'm not from Cincinnati, so you can correct me in the comments. But I'm excited about this one because it's in the Forest Park area, and that's an area that I think can get overlooked, and this is a huge, huge area in terms of where the mall sits. I mean, there's just so much land there, and it's really just been wasted. So I'm excited that they are finally breaking ground on this. I drove by recently and saw that they've already started demolition, and they plan to early next year start breaking ground on what is going to be a huge development. And I'm maybe even a little more excited for the Tri-County Mall redevelopment in Springdale, because if it finally goes through, they do plan to turn that into shops and hotels and apartments, which I think is better for the area and the city. But either way, it's awesome to see that both of these malls that have just been sitting there really and underutilized are at least doing something. The reason I highlighted the Cincinnati Mall in Forest Park first is just because that one's officially happening. Now, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a giant 700,000 square foot headquarters for a company here, but at least it's something, and it'll bring business to the city. And we will see and keep our fingers crossed on the Tri-County Mall, as I think there's a potential there to bring a ton of new life and business to that area. So fingers crossed on that. But let me know what you think about both of those developments. Do you wish the mall could have stayed around with just maybe some new stores, or are you excited about the idea of possibly turning it into apartments and hotels and things like that? All right, so there you have it. That was over $5 billion in new projects slated to happen in 2026 and beyond. So there is a ton of money and development flowing into the city right now. So that has got me excited for the growth in the future of this city. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in Cincinnati, now is the time to position yourself before these developments take place and break ground and we see property values rise across the city. If you're serious about buying or moving to Cincinnati, or you just have questions about how maybe some of these projects could affect an area that you currently live in or were thinking about living in, feel free to contact me. All of my information will be in the description, so you can call, text, email, book a call, or you can just drop a comment, whatever's easiest for you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, until next time.